Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum to everyone. Welcome to today's class. If any of you, I can see from the chat, some of you aren't able to hear or see the screen. So if you could log out and log back in. You might not have been able to hear previously because there was nothing being said. So if you are happy with the sound and you can hear me, can you please raise your hand just so I can see? Okay, excellent. Lots of hands raised. Perfect. So you can lower your hands now. Jazakumullah. And if anyone's having any issues with the sound, I've got my laptop on full volume. So if there are any issues, please try to log out and then log back in again. Just a few points that I'm going to go over. If we start with the usual way that we start our classes with the dua. So I'm going to select student A404, if I can find him. A404. Yeah. Okay. Assalamu alaikum. A404? Assalamu alaikum. Are you able to hear okay? And can you see the screen okay as well?
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay then. So I'd like you to read this prayer over here, the one that I've highlighted. So this is from Ibn Majah. So if you can recite it for me, please.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم ربني ويسر لي.
Sorry, which one are you reciting? I think
I think this one. Allahumma.
Let me highlight this one here. There we go.
Allahumma
Inni, the noon, inni as'aluka ilman nafi'an
Nafi'a.
Well done. And could you read the translation for me, please?
Oh Allah, I ask you to provide our knowledge.
For beneficial knowledge. So, oh Allah, I ask you for beneficial knowledge. Jazakallah A404 for reading that for us. So I'm just going to put you on mute. So this is our prayer. Allahumma inni as'aluka ilman nafi'a. Oh Allah, I ask you for beneficial knowledge. So just a point that I wanted to make, we have different prayers which we read in each of our classes. And hopefully all of the students in this class, they've downloaded the PDFs and they have them in a folder as Hafiz Sahib has instructed. So please make sure you have this in your folders and please make sure that you do revise these prayers. So inshallah, by the end of the course, you should have the ability to hopefully read these prayers by memory. Okay, so this is why we do a different one in each class, just so we can sort of revise and familiarize ourselves with these, with the prayers. Just a few pointers, a few points I want to make. So someone said in the chat, I still can't download on the website. So just a reminder of how that can be done. So this is the website that you're after, Talimul-Quran.org.uk. Hopefully everyone can see that in my browser. The first thing that you're going to do over here, because I'm already logged in, usually there's a button here or a button up here as well, around this area, which says login. You're going to log in with your usual ID and your password would be Level2 as you're the G2 class. So once you're in, you're going to Tashilul-Quran course, G2 Level 2. And this will bring you to the page with all of the PDFs that are available for download. So if I just click on lesson 1, which we've covered, it should work. For some reason it's not opening. Doesn't seem to open. Oh yeah, it's because I'm logged out, that's why. Let me try and log in again. So obviously this is for the tutor, but for all of you, the username would be your ID and the password would be Tartil2. So now that I'm logged in, Tashilul-Quran, G2 level 2, 20 common recitational errors. This is the first lesson and it should come up like this, and then you just click this button over here for download and it should come, it should be in your downloads folder on your computer or laptop. So if anyone has tried this numerous times and has still struggled, please drop us an email so maybe we can send it to you in an alternative way, but definitely this is the way that you should be trying to access these PDFs. So just a quick reminder, Hafiz Sahab has said that all of these PDFs, the 4 lessons that we're covering in this 10-week course, they should all be downloaded, printed and put into your own folder, because as was mentioned in the previous class, for those of you that have attended, the last teacher announced that we will be having an external examination next week on Wednesday, the 3rd of May. So the Wednesday class next week will be the external examination, and you really need to get to grips with all the rules that are covered in lessons 1 and 2 particularly, because those are the lessons that you're going to be examined on. So please make sure you have these PDFs downloaded. Please make sure that you're revising them, just so you're prepared. I don't think there is any capital in the password for whoever mentioned N466 in the chat. Should just be Tartil2. So external examination, I know I've just admitted a few more students. So for the benefit of you all, Wednesday 3rd of May, we're having an external examiner join the class. And they'll be selecting students at random to recite, and then you'll be assessed based on how you perform in your recitation. And it's very similar to how we do our usual classes. So you'll be given a portion of the Holy Quran to recite. Obviously, this isn't the portion, and we ourselves, we don't know what the portion will be. So it's completely up to the examiner what they ask you to recite, which is why first thing is you need to be very regular in your recitation of the Holy Quran. So all of you on your course, you should be reciting the Quran on a daily basis, and also reviewing the lessons as often as possible. And the second thing is to have those PDFs downloaded and in front of you whilst you're reciting, so that you can keep referring back to the rules and familiarizing yourself with them. The other point that I wanted to make was just regarding the chat facility. So thank you for those of you that have used it to just let us know of any technical problems that you're having. But please remember, the only reason we've brought this back is because sometimes there are issues in the class and there's no way for you to communicate those issues. So this chat facility is purely for you to communicate any problems or any questions that you have. So please avoid talking in these chats. It's unnecessary to be talking amongst yourselves. Please concentrate on the lesson and only raise any important questions that you need to raise within the chat. Final point that I wanted to emphasize, obviously every Friday, whoever the teacher is on that day sets the homework over the weekend. So for example, the homework I think for last weekend was for all students to recite out loud Surah Al-Qalam and Surah Al-Haqqa, from part 29 of the Holy Quran, which we've also covered within our lessons. So please make sure you do these homeworks. It's there to benefit you in the long run, and inshallah it should help you as well with your examination next week as well. So please do make sure that you do complete the homeworks. For N492, you can't see the screen. I have shared my screen. If you want to log out and log back in again, that might make a difference. So what we'll do is those are the points I wanted to make. We can now proceed with our lesson of the day. So because of the exam next week, we've decided to focus really on practical application of the rules. So lessons 1 and 2. Again, these are the rules that we've covered since the beginning of the class, since the beginning of the course. And these are very basic rules, which mashallah, a lot of you are familiar with and have really mastered, which I'm really pleased with. But again, there is always room for improvement. So with both of these rules, rules regarding waqf, pausing, so these different situations where you may have to perform waqf in your recitation, and also 20 common recitational errors, which we keep on coming back to again and again, purely because sometimes students are very good in this area, but sometimes we find that some students are really struggling in very basic rules, which is why we have to keep coming back to this. So inshallah, by the end of the course, all students will have mastered the 20 rules. Okay, so there are a few points. N492. Can I just ask N492? Assalamu alaikum, N492, are you able to hear and see the screen now?
Yes.
Okay, perfect, Jazakallah. That's all I wanted to check. Yep, so anyone with technical issues, try logging in and logging out and then logging back in, please. See if that will make a difference. So I'm gonna move to the lesson. So I know that you've covered sort of first half of lesson 3. I understand that a lot of you, you were looking at the 10 most mispronounced letters and learning really how to differentiate between similar sounding letters. So I think you got to letter Dad last time. But as I said, because we've got the exam around the corner, this lesson will focus on reciting from the Holy Quran. So as we usually do, I'll be selecting various students for recitation. So consider this as your mock exam, if you like. So I'm going to select a student from Nasrat. N465. Assalamu alaikum, N465.
Walaikum assalam.
Are you able to hear me okay? And can you see the screen okay?
Yes.
Excellent. So the surah that we're looking at today is Surah Al-Mudaththir, and I'm pretty sure we've covered this in a previous class as well. But we're going to look at this one in particular, partly because in your previous lesson of lesson 3, you looked at the difference between the letters Sin and Tha. So that appears within the name of the surah and also throughout some of the verses. So that's partially why I've chosen it. So remembering all the rules that we've done in lesson number 1, 20 common recitational errors, and also these rules of waqf. Someone said in the chat that they don't understand what to do in certain situations of waqf. So part of the reason why we have the Quran in front of us is so that we can look at actual examples. All the words in lesson number 2, these are all words from the Holy Quran, but obviously it becomes easier to practically apply these rules when you have verses, full verses in front of you. So N465, if you can start from first verse, please.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها المدثر قل فأنذر.
I'm just going to stop you as we see the mistakes so we can discuss them as we go along. So just over here, this is Al-Muddathir, okay? So above the dal, we have the shadda, and also above the tha, we have the shadda. So double emphasis on both of these letters. So we're going to read it as Al-Muddathir, okay? Can you read it for me, please?
Al-Muddathir.
Excellent. So, and again, the verse from the beginning.
يا أيها المدثر.
Excellent, Jazakallah. And carrying on, please.
قم فأنذر وربك فكبر.
Jazakallah. Again, just referring to your rule from lesson 3, where you're looking at the difference between za and dhal. Can you remember how you pronounce this letter, the one that I've highlighted?
The
Dhal, yeah? Dhal. So, for example, think about the word this. So, for example, you say this in English, yeah? The TH sound that you get from this, this is exactly the same sound that you're going to make for the letter Dhal. So, قم فأنذر. Vir. So, it's a buzzing sound. Vir. Okay, so try again just this verse for me, please.
قم فأنذر.
Jazakallah. Excellent. Carry on, please. Yeah, carrying on from Warabbaka, please.
Sorry. وربك فكبر
Excellent.
وثيابك فطهر ورجز فاهجر.
Jazakallah. So over here again, so you've got the letter Ra. What do you remember to do when there is a shadda on the letter?
Pronounce it for 2 seconds.
Yeah, so you pause a little bit on it for emphasis. Well, rujiza. Yeah, well, rujiza.
ورجز.
Yeah, excellent. And just read the verse till the end for me, please.
ورجز فاهجر
Jazakallah. And up to here.
ولا تمنن تستكثر.
Excellent, well done. So you remember to pronounce the tha in the correct way. So just like we say in English, thin, the very soft th sound, this is the tha sound that you make with this letter. And that's different with the sort of harder sound for anzir. So this is like this and thin, yeah, in English. So Jazakallah, I'm quite happy with your recitation. Your application of the rules, so the rules that we looked about, prolongation, the very basic ones, fatha, dhamma, kasra, then the vertical fatha, vertical kasra, inverse dhamma, mashallah, they were really good. There weren't any mistakes in your prolongation, so that's a really good sign. Generally, your fluency was also really good. Just the points to look out for was especially when you see the shadda appearing. So we want extra emphasis on that. We want to hold that sound for 2 seconds at least, okay?
Okay.
Okay, excellent. Well done. Keep practicing. Do you have all of these lessons downloaded?
Yes.
Excellent, that's really good. So keep referring back to them and keep up with your recitation. So I'm going to mute to your N465, yeah?
Yeah.
Excellent. Jazakallah N465. So I'll put you on mute now. If I go quiet, it's just because I'm trying to monitor the chat at the same time, just to make sure we're all sticking to the rules of the chat. So yeah, please do try to avoid using the webcam. I think when you log in, there's the option to tick the box which says that you're not using your video. So please do tick that. If it comes on by accident, turn it off as soon as you can. An alternative thing is if you just put a piece of paper or some blue tack on your webcam, that way even if it comes on accident, you can't actually be seen on the webcam. Okay, so Jazakallah to N465 for reciting very well. Next student will be A435. I'm just going to find them in the participant panel. Okay. Assalamu alaikum, A435.
Walaikum assalam.
How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very good, alhamdulillah. So, do you understand what's happening with our external exam next week?
Yes.
Yeah, are you well prepared for this exam?
Not really, but
How would you rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10? 10 being the most prepared. How prepared do you think you are?
halfway through, I think a bit more to learn.
Okay, no problem. Inshallah, with some practice and revision. Okay. So can I first of all ask, do you have the PDFs downloaded from the website?
No.
You don't. Do you understand how you're supposed to download it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So please make sure you do that, because you really need to have these, especially lessons 1 and 2, since we've covered them already. You really need to have them in front of you so you can keep referring to them, because that's what you're going to be examined on. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So please make sure you do have all of the PDFs. So as I said, with the external exam, you can get any portion of the Holy Quran and you'll basically be assessed like we do in our classes. So carrying on from where N465 left off, can you start from Wa at the beginning of verse number 8, please? Starting with A'udhu Billah.
Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ولربك فاصبر فإذا نقر في الناقور فذلك يومئذ يوم عسير على الكافرين غير يسير ذرني ومن خلقت وحيدا.
Jazakallah. That was actually very well recited. A bit more fluency, but you didn't really make any major mistakes as such. One point that I picked up over here. So this letter here, this is a noon, and what's the sign above the noon?
It's a Dhamma.
Dhamma. Excellent. And how many seconds are we prolonging the Dhamma?
For 1.
1 second. So you recited it a bit longer than 1 second. So could you please read this line again for me, making sure that you recite this letter only for 1 second?
وَإِذَا نُكِرَ في النَّاقُورِ.
Excellent, Jazakallah. And just one point I wanted to emphasize as well. So over here we have the Noon Mushaddad, and if everyone remembers from our very first lesson, we've covered this countless times. So whenever we have the Noon Mushaddad or Mim Mushaddad, we are making a complete Ghunna sound on this, and we're going to hold it for at least 2 seconds. So I think this is the point that a lot of people fall down on, just putting extra emphasis whenever you see a letter carrying a shadda. So over here, Binnaku, okay? 2 seconds
Okay.
of nasal sound. So can you try that for me? Binnaku.
Binnaku.
Jazakallah, that's great. So just one moment, okay. Again, the rest was fine. A bit more fluency. How regularly are you reciting the Holy Quran? Do you do it daily?
Yes.
Okay. And roughly how much do you read?
1 ruku.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Okay. Jazakallah, just remind me again of your ID, please. Is that A435 or something?
A435.
Excellent, Jazakallah. So keep on going with your regular recitation. As I said, there weren't any major issues, but a bit more fluency and just focusing, remembering not to fall down on the really basic errors of, for example, the dhamma. So remembering how long to prolong the basic strokes, okay?
Okay.
Okay, Jazakallah. So let me put you on mute now, A435. So a few people have mentioned that they don't understand, if I just go, when you reach a certain, okay, so the issue that was raised in the chat by N467, that's a separate thing, so that's separate to what we're learning about. So we're not actually covering the stop signs in the current lessons, we haven't covered them. The focus of this lesson too, this is more about if you're coming to the end of the verse and you need to stop. So for example, if we look at part 29, so say I've come to the end of this verse, وَلِرَبِّكَ فَاسْبِرْ. So I'm stopping here, this is the sign of the ayat, the verse, and what I'm applying from this lesson is that the letter that I've finished on is a ra, which carries a sukoon, and from what I've learned in lesson 2, there's going to be no change in how I'm reading the word. So the ra will carry on carrying the sukoon at the end of the verse. So don't worry too much about the stop signs at the moment. The focus that we're sort of looking at in lesson 2 is what to do at the end of the verses, and also if we were to pause in the middle of a verse, how we would stop on that particular letter. So to be honest, the best way to really understand or master the rules in lessons 1 and 2 is through practicing with verses of the Holy Quran. That is the best revision you can do for this exam. And as I said, to have your rules out in front of you, so you can self-assess and really see what points you're weak on. So we're going to continue then. This time I'll select N461. Assalamu alaikum, N461.
Walaikum assalam.
How are you today, N461? You well?
Alhamdulillah. How are you?
I'm very good, Jazakallah. So you understand everything that I've said so far about the exam and about having the PDFs in front of you, all of those things?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. So if we go from, if you can start from the beginning of verse number 11, please. With
Okay.
our
A'udhu billahi
Shaitanir Rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alal kafirina khairu yasir. Zarni wa min khalaqtu wahida wa ja'altu lahu malan mamduda.
Okay, Jazakallah. So just stop there. So a few points that I want you to focus on. So the very first one, I don't think we've covered it in lesson 3 as such. Yeah, no, you've not come to it yet. But just a very basic point for the benefit of everyone. With every single letter in the Arabic alphabet, every letter has its own unique sound. So the reason I highlighted it was because the ayn that you pronounced, it sounded very much like an alif. So it's really important to try to differentiate between all of the Arabic letters, because it can sometimes change the meaning depending on how you pronounce the word. So alal kafirina. Okay, can you try to make that ayn sound from your throat?
Okay.
Have a go for me. Alal kafirina.
Alal kafirina.
Well done. So you did well with the ayn, but what happened then was you made this qaf into a qaf. So you changed the basic qaf sound to a qaf sound. So alal kafirina.
Alal kafirina.
Excellent, well done. So that was point number 1. The second point over here, I think you read the fatha as a kasra, yeah? So really, really be careful, because that's, again, that's one of the basic rules, but it can have a very dramatic impact on the meaning, so that can lose you a lot of points. And also if it changes the meaning of the Holy Quran, that's really something you don't want to be doing. So really reading slowly and carefully. وَمَنْ خَلَقْتُ, yeah? So I think you said وَمِنْ خَلَقْتُ, but وَمَنْ خَلَقْتُ, okay?
Okay.
Okay. The point over here, I think, yeah, you think you struggled a little bit over here. So lahu, again, what's the sign just above the ha over here?
Vertical dhamma.
Yeah, so we call it inverse dhamma, but yeah, you're on the right lines there. So how many seconds on the ha?
2.
Excellent, 2 seconds. So وَجَعَلْتُ لَهُ, 2 seconds. So over here again, we have the meme joined with an alif, and how many seconds on there?
2.
Excellent. And so we come to the slightly tricky bit over here. So we've got the lam, which is carrying the fathatain, or the tanween of fatha, and it's joining directly with a meme mushaddad. So do you remember what happens when the lam is joining with a shadda letter from lesson number 1? Do we make the sound of the tanween, or what do we do?
We don't pronounce the tanween if there's a mushaddad there.
Excellent. So how are you going to merge the lam mushaddad, the lam with tanween with the meme mushaddad? How are you going to read it?
Lan namduda.
That's really good. So coming back to it, you read it correctly, but just during recitation, I think you got a bit mixed up there. So وَجَعَلْتُ لَهُ مَالًا مَمْدُودًا. Okay, so we want pausing on the meme mushaddad and remembering we're not making this tanween sound. Okay, so those are the 3 main points. Do you understand all the things that I've mentioned to you?
Yes.
Excellent, that's great. And you are N461, yeah?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, Jazakillah N461. So I'll mute you now. And let's move now to A447 if he is here. Yeah. Okay. Assalamu alaikum. A447.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, alhamdulillah. So you understanding everything I've said so far?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. So we read it to verse 13. So starting with Ta'awuz, start from the beginning of verse 14, please.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وبنينا شهود.
Yeah, carrying on. So do you understand? Yeah, carry on, sorry.
شهودا دان.
Okay, so starting from the very first verse. So over here, all of these 3 places that I've highlighted, on the waw, on the ba, and the noon, can you tell me what your mistake might have been? What do you think you did wrong? Any ideas?
No.
No? So what you've done is, these are the very basic strokes of fatha which are above the letter. And how many seconds do we read a letter with a fatha stroke?
1 second.
Exactly, 1 second. So what you've done is you prolonged it more than 1 second. And again, so if we look at very first rule of 20 upon recitational errors, do not prolong a letter which carries a fatha more than 1 second, okay? So wabanina, that's all you need to read as wabanina. Can you try that for me, please?
Wabanina.
Excellent. So just 1 second on all of them. What's above below the noon? Sorry, what's this sign over here? Do you know what it's called? Begins with a K.
No.
No, so this is kasra. Do you know how many seconds you would read a kasra for? A letter with kasra?
3 seconds.
Not 3 seconds. So just ignore the ya at the moment. Just imagine it's just a letter with a basic stroke of kasra underneath it. How many seconds do you think? If fatha is 1 second, how many seconds would this be?
1.
Yeah, excellent. So that's 1 second. Because you're joining it with the ya, which is carrying a sukoon, that becomes a letter of prolongation. So you would read that when you're joining it for 2 seconds. So wabanina. Yeah, so 1 second, 1 second, 2 seconds, 1 second. Okay, wabanina. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. The other point that I wanted to that I highlighted. So over here, we're looking at this sign here. This is the sign which indicates that the verse has stopped. Okay, so you're going to stop over here rather than carrying on. If you are going to stop here, do you know how you're going to recite the dal? How are we going to recite the word shuhudan? If you're carrying on, you were correct. You were saying shuhudan wa. You are joining the da with the tanween with the waw mushaddad, but we're stopping because of the sign of the verse. So how would you pause over here? How would you read it?
Shahada.
So remember, this is shuhu. You're right in the way that you read it, but shuhuda. Yeah, so it will just be 2 seconds. The tanween sign will disappear, and it will just be 2 seconds on the dal alif. Shuhuda. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. So, yes, remembering from the very basic strokes how much time you spend, and the rule of pausing, because we're pausing at the end of this verse. وَبَنِينَ شُهُودًا. Could you carry on reading the next verse for me, please? From وَمَحَّدْتُ.
فَمَهَّدْتُ لَهُ تَمْهِيدًا.
Okay, so let me go to the third point first of all. So this one is ending in exactly the same way as this verse ended. Okay, so if we were carrying on, we would read it tamhidan, but we're pausing. So tamhida, 2 seconds again at the end. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Over here, so in this word here, so wamahattu. Are we reading this dal or are we going to miss it out? What do you think?
I think miss it out.
Excellent, well done. So we're joining the ha mushaddad directly with the ta mushaddad. So wamahattu. So slightly more emphasis on the letters which carry the shadda, but also remember we're putting emphasis on the ta, but it's a dhamma, just a plain stroke of the dhamma above the ta. So we're not going to make it any longer. 1 second. وَمَحَّدْتُ. Can you read that for me?
فَمَهَّدْتُ.
Hattu. Remember the dal sound doesn't come in. وَمَحَّدْتُ.
فَمَهَّدْتُ.
Excellent, well done. And again, above the lam, what's the stroke above the lam? The one that I've highlighted. So it's the same one as we had over here. Begins with an F. Do you remember what it's called?
No.
No? So this is fatha. Do you use fatha dhamma kasra or zir zabar pesh? Which one do you find easy to use? Or are you not familiar with either of them?
Either of them.
Okay, you don't know what they're either. So try to, this is why it's important to have this. Do you have these printed out, these PDFs?
No.
You don't. So please make sure that you have these downloaded. As I showed you from the website, so this is the Talimul-Quran website, G2 section, all of the lessons that you need to download, they're all here, all the ones we use in the class. Keep them in front of you so that you can keep referring back to them. So have them with you when you're reciting so you can keep looking at them. Okay, so if you can carry on then from the next verse, from Thumma, please.
ثم تطمع أن أزيد.
Okay, so again, so this one, first of all, this was a bigger error, I think, because you read this, you read the incorrect letter here, yeah? So you confused the ya with the ta. So remember, ta has the 2 dots above, yeah? This is the ya, so yatma'u. Can you read that for me? Yatma'u.
يطمع
Yatma'u.
يطمع.
Excellent. And remembering again, I think the key point for you to focus on is, so you know the very first lessons that we covered with the fatha, kasra and dhamma, remembering any time you see these come above a letter, it's just the plain 1 second, nothing longer than that. I know you understand how much time you need to spend on it when I ask you, but in recitation you sometimes prolong it more than you need to. So ثم يطمع أن أزيد. Okay, an azid. Again, I highlighted this one because you read the alif a bit longer than 1 second. This is just fatha on the alif, so just 1 second. An azid. Okay?
Okay.
Could you try to read this verse again for me, please?
ثم
Remember, this is meme with mushaddad. Thumma.
ثم يطمع أن أزيد.
Okay, good. So you corrected your previous mistakes, but now this time you prolonged the meme. So again, very basic stroke. This is just the fatha, 1 second. ثم يطمع أن أزيد. Okay, keep practicing that. How often do you read the Quran generally in a week? How many times might you read it? Could you tell me, do you read it every day on a regular basis?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. So keep practicing, keep at it. Definitely the very first thing you need to be focusing on is these basic strokes, okay? More than anything else, you need to make sure that you're prolonging them for the correct amount of time, okay?
Okay.
Okay, Jazakallah. So remind me again of your ID, please.
A447.
A447, okay. So Jazakallah A447, I'm going to mute you. So I'm just A410, N486. Please stop using the chat unnecessarily. That's the first warning, and if I have to speak to you again, I will have to remove you from the classroom, because as I said very clearly, and as previous teachers have said, this chat facility is purely for you to tell us if you are having any technical issues, if you have any really serious questions that you need to ask. Apart from that, you should not be using it. So I will make a note of those 2 IDs, and that was the first warning of today's lesson. So I definitely don't want to see N486 or A410 typing in the chat again. Okay, so moving on. So we've had A447. Now from Nasirat, I'm going to select, let's have N472. Assalamu alaikum. N472?
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. How are you today, N472?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm very good, alhamdulillah. So are you following everything I've said so far?
Yes.
Excellent. So carrying on then from verse number 15, please.
Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
ومح ومح ومحدت له تمهيدا.
Okay, so just over here, how many seconds are we going to read the da? What's the stroke above the da, and how many seconds are we reading them for?
2 seconds.
Not 2 seconds. So we've just got we're holding the sound for 2 seconds, definitely, because we've got the shadda. So wamahattu, we want a bit more emphasis, but the actual stroke above the letter, which stroke is that?
Dhamma.
Dhamma. And how many seconds on a very basic dhamma?
1.
Excellent. So wamahattu. And then just over here as well, so we have the ha with a kasra, and it's followed by a ya sakin, which makes it a letter of prolongation. So 2 seconds. So it was a little bit short. So tamhida. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. And just read the verse again for me, please.
ومحدت له تمهيدا.
Slightly longer over here. So remembering how we pause at the end of this verse, we're going to prolong for 2 seconds. How are we going to read it?
تمهيدا.
Excellent. So we want the he and the da to be the same length. So what I've gathered over here is because of the shadda, you're putting the emphasis, but the dhamma is becoming a bit longer than it needs to be. So wamahaddu. Try that again for me.
ومحدت.
Mahattu.
محدت.
I think you're prolonging neem a bit. So mahattu.
محدت.
Okay, well done. ومهدت له تمهيدا.
ومحدت له تمهيدا.
Well done. Okay, carrying on, please.
ثم يطمع أن أزيد.
So there were some points here similar to A447. So what you've basically done is you've put emphasis really well on the meme here, but again, you're prolonging more than the 1 second. So ثم يطمع أن أزيد. So again, with the alif, there is too much prolongation. So remembering fatha, that's a very basic stroke above the letter. We just want it for 1 second. So could you please read this verse again for me?
ثم يطمع أن أزيد.
Again, the same thing. So يطمع. Read that, just that word for me. يطمع.
يطمع.
Excellent. So what you're doing is you're reading it as يطمع. Okay? I think sometimes what happens is we get really caught up in the tune, and then we end up prolonging where we don't need to prolong, or shortening unnecessarily. So just focus on the very basic strokes. يطمع.
يطمع
أن أزيد.
أن أزيد.
Excellent. Just one point here. So this letter, this is alif, but I'm hearing a bit of an ayn sound. So could you read it just very basic, just from an?
أن أزيد.
An azid.
أن أزيد.
Well done. And so over here, if you could you tell your classmates we're stopping at this verse, dal has a fatha. How would it change if you're going to pause there? Do you know what will happen on the dal?
Would it turn into a sukoon?
Excellent, well done. So an azid, slight jerk on the dal, but yeah, excellent. So it'll be sukoon on the letter dal. Well done. Carrying on, please.
Allah innahu qana ila.
So just try this word again for me. So we have the lam with a kasra, and then alif with a vertical fatha.
لآياتنا عنيدا.
Well done. That was all fine, except again the same mistake here. So you've got the ayn just with fatha. So you prolonged it and read it as anida, but just 1 second. Anida.
عنيدا.
Well done. Can you just read from innahu again, please?
إنه كان لآياتنا عنيدا.
A little bit longer at the end, because remember we're prolonging. عنيدا.
عنيدا.
Well done. Okay, Jazakallah. So just remember the main points that I told you about. Really focus on getting those basic strokes right, because remember those are rules 1, 2, and 3 at the start of lesson 1. So really need to focus on prolonging for the right amount of time. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, excellent. Jazakallah, and you are N461, yeah?
No, N472.
Oh, sorry, yeah, N472, perfect. Okay, Jazakallah, I'm going to mute you now. I'll take one more atfal. Look. Well, what I'll do is, there's been a few Nasirat that haven't recited for quite a while. So, N4880. Assalamualaikum. N480.
Assalamualaikum.
Walaikum assalam. How are you today? You good?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, alhamdulillah. So, because we're coming towards the end of the class, if you can recite very quickly for me from, well, not very quickly, take your time, but from verse number 18, please, from Sa'urhiquhu.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم سنرهقه صعودا إنه فكر وقدر.
Jazakallah. So just over here, can you read this word again for me? So this is the seen with a fatha joined with alif with dhamma. Just read this word again for me.
سأرهقه.
Excellent, well done. So I think you may have read it as the lam in the beginning, but you corrected yourself. So sa'urhiquhu. Remember, just there are a few points. So this one over here, this has got the inverted dhamma. So just remember, and also over here, for 2 seconds we're going to prolong. Okay, so just a bit longer on your prolongation. Sa'urhiquhu sa'uda. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, and just read this verse again for me, please.
إنه فكر وقدر.
Well done, Jazakallah. So remembering again, this noon over here, this is probably my favorite rule to always go back to. I know I nag a lot of you about the same rule, but just because it's just a really important rule that you have to remember. So the noon mushaddad, a lot more emphasis and a slight nasal sound as well when you're pronouncing innahu. Okay, a lot more emphasis on the noon. Can you try that for me? Innahu.
إنه.
Excellent, Jazakallah. And again over here, you managed to pronounce it correctly in the end, but a bit more fluency is required. I think you got a little bit stuck when you saw the letters which carried the shadda. So فكر وقدر. فكر وقدر.
وقدر.
Excellent. فكر وقدر. And again, tell your classmates you've got the ra with a fatha over here and you're stopping at this verse. So what sign is going to replace the fatha on the ra?
سكون.
Sukoon. Excellent. So فكر وقدر. Well done. That was well done. Again, you corrected yourself the second time round, but we want the first time round to be perfect, okay? So we don't want these small mistakes to come up. So again, as is advised for everyone else in the class, regular recitation is really, really important. And it's really, really important to have your rules in front of you so you can keep going back to them. So could you remind me of your ID, please?
N480.
N480, excellent. And while still with me, if you can follow me when we're reading this. So, Allahumma arhamni
Allahumma arhamni
bil Quran al-Azim
bil Quran al-Azim
waj'alhu li
waj'alhu li
imaman wa
imaman wa
nuran wa
nuran wa
hudan wa rahmah.
hudan wa rahmah.
Jazakallah. And just read the translation for me.
O Allah, have mercy on me through the great Quran and make it for me, the leader, the light, the guidance and the mercy.
Excellent, Jazakallah. So I'm just going to put you on mute. So this was very much a revision lesson, and inshallah Friday's lesson as well will be revision so that we can really prepare ourselves for next week's examination. A lot of the rules that we covered, they seem to be quite common, the mistakes that some of you are making. So please do have the rules in front of you, keep reciting, and make sure your recitation is regular, because that's the only way we can really improve in applying the correct rules of the Holy Quran. So inshallah, hopefully we will see you all again in tomorrow's class. So assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. You can take leave. I think A428, thank you for informing me. I'll record the point that you made about your son. And N492, your question was about Surah Al-Haqqa. I was just saying that over last weekend, the homework was to recite out loud Surah Al-Haqqa and Surah Al-Qalam. That was the homework for the weekend, so you can still do that, but not to worry too much. Again, with a lot of these questions in the chat, it's better if it's an issue to do with your attendance or to report attendance, if you can email directly rather than bringing up the point in the chat, that would be a lot better. So Jazakumullah for everyone for attending, and inshallah we'll see you in the next class.